Night listener, tonight we enter the shadows. A city doesn't sleep. It holds its breath between crimes. Outside, rain scribbles secrets across your window pane. Dim sodium lights flicker along the empty street like they are dying one by one. Somewhere in the distance, a siren howls, not urgent, just tired. You lean over your desk, the same way you have every night since the case that cracked you open and never closed. Files sprawled like a drunk's confessions, cold coffee, black ink stains on your fingertips, and then a letter. No stamp, no postmark, just there on the middle of your desk, pale envelope, cream colored, your name printed in crisp black type. No title, no return address, but the second you see it, your mouth goes dry because you recognize the paper. Not logically, your brain denies it, but something under your skin flinches. Something deeper says, you've seen this before, you just didn't want to. If this story found you, maybe it's because you've been followed too. You pick it up, turn it over, sealed with no wax, no tape, just pressure. Like the sender wanted you to know this wasn't meant to be secure. It was meant to be inevitable. You open it. Inside one sheet, typed, spaced deliberately, 3 lines. You missed something. Detective, check the file you swore you'd never reopen. This time, you're part of the story. Time before we vanish into this mystery. Like the video and subscribe only if you can handle the truth buried beneath the lies. Tell me, listener, where are you listening from? Are you drawn to the thrill, the truth, or justice? Now, lock your doors, take a deep breath, and follow me into the dark. Your hands are trembling before you realize they've moved. You reach for the cabinet, bottom drawer, locked since last April, the night after the case that tore through the precinct. After you testified, after you stopped sleeping, the case you promised yourself you'd never touch again. You don't even remember locking it. But somehow, your hand already has the key. You open it. The file's there, still stamped closed. Inside a single folder, marked with red tape, Langston, K, DOA, internal follow-up. Only. You freeze. Langston, a case you buried. A man found dead in a sealed apartment. No weapon, no wounds, just one word carved into the mirror in fog. Remember. The body decomposed faster than the timeline allowed. You chalked it up to a ventilation issue, filed it away with a quiet note to forget it existed. But now, the first photo in the file has changed. You're in it. You weren't before. It shows the bathroom, same as before. But now the reflection in the mirror is yours, wearing the same coat you're wearing now. Eyes slightly different. You stare, and for a flicker, just a breath, you see the reflection move, smile, and fade. You close the folder, check the envelope again. Same paper, no ink on the inside flap, no fingerprints either. You dust it anyway, but there's something else. Faint imprinting. Someone wrote on the paper above it before placing this one in your hands. You hold it to the light. One word rises, unfinished. You were never meant to close this case, because maybe it never was a case. Maybe it was a message, and maybe you've been the intended recipient from the very start. You pick up your phone, no new messages, but your wallpaper has changed. You didn't change it. It's a photograph, blurry, nighttime, a window. Inside, a figure is slumped over a desk. Your desk. You, taken from across the street, time-stamped 1:14 a.m., 10 minutes ago. Your blood goes cold. You look out the window. Nothing there now but rain. But you feel it, that unmistakable breath at the base of your neck. The one that says you're not just watching, you're being watched. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You knew, but pretended you didn't. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The scent hits you before you realize you're still holding the letter. Ink, not the sterile black ink of your office printer, no. This is older, richer, almost sweet, like library stacks soaked in tobacco. It clings to the page, clings to your fingers, and suddenly, it's not just scent. It's a feeling, like deja vu with teeth. The memory tries to surface, slippery and vague fluorescent lights. A hallway of linoleum, someone handing you a sheet of paper with the same scent. Your hand had been shaking then, too. You press the letter to your face, close your eyes, and just for a moment you remember her. The woman from the Langston case, not the victim, not a suspect, a neighbor. Technically, no record of her name in the report, but you remember her face, pale, too calm, and her last words to you, almost whispered. It's not that they don't leave evidence, it's that the evidence is meant for someone else. You never included that quote in the file. Didn't know why at the time. Now you think you do. You start digging through your own case notes, through Langston's autopsy, the ones they forced through closed channels, the cause of death, unknown systemic shutdown, internal hemorrhaging with no trauma, nothing biological, like his body chose to stop. But the details don't bother you as much as what's missing. A page is gone. You always keep your notes in triplicate. Always. But page 6 of your interview logs, gone. You flip through the Langston photos again. Your image isn't there anymore. Not in the mirror. Not anywhere. Now it's someone else. A man in the reflection. Back turned. Wearing your coat but older. He's holding something in his hand. A letter. You set the photo down and walk to the bathroom mirror. Turn on the light. Your face greets you, but there's something off. A scratch, small, on your cheek. You reach for it instinctively, but feel nothing. It's only in the mirror. You run your fingers along your skin. Nothing. But in the glass, the scratch deepens, just a little. Then your reflection smiles. You don't. You back away, head spinning. You try to call someone, anyone. Your phone won't unlock. The screen reads fingerprint mismatch. Try again. You press harder. Wipe your thumb. Try again. Same result. Then a new message appears. You're not who you think you are. You throw the phone onto the couch. Rush to the kitchen. Splash cold water on your face. The feeling doesn't fade. You grab your spare phone from the drawer. Burner. No contacts stored. Only one message in the inbox. From unknown. Nice try. And below it, an image. A scan of a letter. The one you just received. Same folds, same ink. But in this one, the third line has changed. This time, you're part of the experiment. You go back to the envelope. Check the paper again. In the lower right corner is a tiny stain. You missed it before. A fingerprint. You dust it gently. Lift it with tape. Slide it under the desk scanner. Run it through the internal archive. Match found. Your own print. Time-stamped 3 weeks ago. That's impossible. You didn't touch this letter before tonight. Unless you delivered it yourself. Unless you've been doing this longer than you remember. You open your closet. There, on the top shelf, is a box you haven't touched in over a year. Inside evidence from closed cases you were told to destroy. You pull it down. Inside are several sealed folders. Some names jump out. Langston, Green, Delgado. You open the one labeled Delgado. Another letter. Identical paper. Identical ink. Same scent. And scrawled across the margin, they always forget what they wrote themselves. You think back to that night, the one after Langston died. You'd had 3 drinks, maybe 4, woke up with a headache and an empty notepad next to you. You never found the pages. You assumed you trashed them. But what if you didn't? What if someone collected them? What if you delivered them? Your phone lights up again. New message. No sender. The smell of ink is memory. Keep following it. And then you're almost ready to read what comes next. You go to your desk. The letter lies open, but now it has a 4th line. You swear it wasn't there before. In smaller type, same ink. Next time, you'll know what you did. You reread it until the words don't look like words anymore, until they feel like a verdict, until they feel like a dare. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You knew, but pretended you didn't. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The file won't leave your desk. You've moved it twice, maybe 3 times each time I'm trying to tuck it back where it came from. Bury it in some drawer, lock it away, but it ends up in front of you again, unfolded, open to the same page you don't remember writing. Page 6, the one that had gone missing. But now, it's there, only the handwriting isn't quite yours. It mimics you perfectly, too perfectly. And the ink, the same scent. You lean in, press your fingertips to the edge of the page, and feel something else. Embossing, a faint indentation in the lower left corner. You angle the sheet under the desk lamp. It's a single symbol, half rubbed away, DR3. You don't recognize it, but your pulse does. Like it's a code you once lived inside. Like it's a case you were inside of. Instead of outside investigating, you check the signature at the bottom of the interview notes. Initials, not yours. AR. You pace. You don't know what the letters mean. Not yet. But you do know one thing, that folder, the one marked Langston, was not supposed to exist anymore. Internal Affairs was clear, destroy all unsolved materials linked to psychogenic dissociation patterns. The phrase still echoes in your memory like a legal incantation. You ignored it. Of course, you always do. But even you didn't keep this folder. So where did it come from? And more urgently, who brought it back? You reach for your old phone again. Try to check your emails. It's unlocked now. That biometric glitch. Gone. As if the phone was only refusing you while you were still unsure. Now it wants you to look. There's a single draft email saved in your outbox. You open it. No recipient. Subject line. Confession for future self. You read the first few lines. If you're reading this, it means the letters found you again. I told them not to. I told them I wasn't ready. But maybe you are. It started with Langston. Or maybe it started earlier. Hard to say when you've been the subject of your own case for this long. Don't throw the next one away. The next letter is the real one. You scroll down. The email ends abruptly. No sign-off. No send date. Only an attachment. You download it. It's a PDF of a scanned forensics report. Fingerprint analysis. The print on the Langston mirror, the one etched into the fog, came back inconclusive at the time. No match. But this new scan, it's highlighted. One fingerprint. Yours. You drop the phone. Check the time. 2:37 a.m. Rain has stopped. The world outside looks the same, but feels paused. You move to your window. Across the street, a light flickers on in an apartment that should be empty. You know it's empty. You've checked it 12 times, but now someone stands there. Just a silhouette, not moving, holding something. You squint. It's a folder. Your folder. Then just like that, the light dies. Back at your desk. You flip through the Langston file again. Inside is a fresh photograph. You didn't put it there. It's a printout of an old crime scene, a body on a tile floor, blood pooling around the wrists, head turned away. You recognize the watch on the victim's wrist. It's yours. You stare, try to blink the image away, but it remains. Your chest tightens. You flip it over. On the back. That's what they said happened. But you lived, didn't you? You open your closet. On instinct. Pull down the old duffel you haven't touched in a year. The one you brought home the day after Langston. Inside your backup revolver. Files from unsolveds. A voice recorder with a cracked case. You power it on. There's only one file saved. Time-stamped exactly 1 year ago. You press play. Your voice. Panicked. Whispering. They found the third location. I didn't mark it. But they still found it. If I forget, if they make me forget, it's on the west wall. Behind the cabinet. There's more. Click. Silence. You rush to the cabinet. Drag it aside. The wall behind it is blank at first. But then you feel it. A loose panel. You pry it open. Inside another folder. Smaller. Wrapped in twine. Inside that, a single page. A letter. Typewritten. Your name at the top. Same paper. Same scent. You hold it up to the light. A fourth line now. This time, you're not the one investigating. You're the one being profiled. You stare into the bathroom mirror again. No scratch this time, but something else has changed. A photo taped to the corner. You don't remember putting it there. It's you, but younger, standing outside the Langston crime scene, holding a file folder, smiling, not like a detective, like someone proud. And just above your head, scrawled on the doorframe behind you, we all leave clues. Some of us just plant them first. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You don't own the camera that took the photograph. You know this because you checked the metadata. Your tech guy ran it through 3 layers of forensic filters. The photo, tucked into the Langston file, the one with you standing at a scene that shouldn't exist, wasn't taken on any department-issued equipment, wasn't time-stamped by city systems, wasn't logged by evidence control. It just exists, like it always did. You hold it again now, under brighter light, and it hits you. It's not just you in the photo, it's her, too. Background, far left, out of focus, standing in shadow, just behind the crime scene tape, watching, head tilted, same calm expression, same slight smile. The woman from the Langston case, the one who spoke the words you didn't record. You grab a magnifier, pull the photo close. You see it now. In her hands, another letter, sealed, cream-colored envelope, your name printed neatly across the front. You check the Langston crime scene logs. No notation of civilians on site. No witnesses logged. You scan the perimeter photos taken by the forensics team. None show her. Only the one that ended up in your hands. The one with you in it. You call Daniels your old partner. The one who transferred right after the Langston case went cold. He doesn't answer. You don't leave a voicemail. Instead, you pull out your personal laptop. You log into the local news archives. Search Langston. 6 results. You click through the first 5 standard coverage. Nothing new. The 6th is different. Headline officer. Identified in unrelated death. No foul play. Suspected. The date 3 days after Langston's body was discovered. The officer Daniels. He's listed as deceased. But he texted you 2 months ago. You have the messages. You check again. They're gone. Every one of them. Erased. Your phone says the number is no longer in service. You feel your chest tighten. That familiar sensation. That pressure at the edges of your memory, like something's sitting there, just out of reach, waiting to be noticed again. You dig back into the cabinet, find the backup drive from your desk. Inside, archived video logs, surveillance footage from Langston's floor. You scrub through it frame by frame. Elevator logs, hallway cams, body cam feeds. At 2:43 a.m., the camera facing Langston's door flickers for exactly 1.2 seconds. When it comes back, the door is open. You freeze the frame. A figure stands just inside the threshold. Not Langston, not you, her. Same silhouette, same tilt of the head. You zoom in. Her face is turned to the camera, but the features are yours. You fall back from the screen. Your hand trembles. You open your desk drawer, find the old ID badge you used to carry before the switch to smart cards. Flip it over. The photo is slightly faded, but it's her face. You, but not you. Not anymore. You open the letter again, the original one, and now there's a second photo inside. You're not surprised. You slide it out slowly. It's the same hallway, different angle. Someone took it from inside the room, Langston's room, before forensics arrived. In this version, the mirror is cracked and scrawled across it, written in what looks like blood. You were here. Underneath, another line added in a different color red ink, and you'll be here again. You print the photo, tape it to your wall. Next to it, the original letter. You step back, try to make sense of it. 3 letters, 3 photos, 3 versions of you, but the timeline makes no sense. The ink, the fingerprints, the placements, they all point to someone else orchestrating this, or you. From another angle, another version. You reach for your journal, the one you stopped writing in after the Langston case. Flip to the last page. A scribbled note. Not yours, not exactly, but written in your voice. The truth is layered, like a body. Peel enough of it back, and you start to recognize the bones. The apartment door creaks. You freeze. A shadow slides under the gap. You step to the door, hand on your sidearm. Open it. No one. But taped to the hallway wall is a single strip of paper, scrawled in pencil. Check behind the mirror. You turn slowly. Return to the bathroom. The mirror stares back. No scratches, no blood. But you see something at the bottom edge. A sliver of wood, warped slightly. You dig your fingers in. Pull. The mirror lifts free with surprising ease. Behind it, taped to the drywall, another letter and a key, small, rusted. You unfold the letter. It has one sentence. The next door opens from the inside. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The third letter is handwritten, ink bleeding at the edges, like it's been waiting too long to be read. You don't recognize the handwriting, not exactly, but it's eerily close, curved in the way your own used to be, before the Langston case changed the way your fingers held a pen, before the tremors, before the doubts. You left something behind in the dark. Now it's learning to speak with your voice. You dream in static. I dream in full color. Shall we compare notes? The page smells like the others. Library ink, damp basement paper, a hint of something floral, not perfume. No, like dried lavender, the kind tucked inside drawers to keep away moths and memory. You fold the letter carefully. It's not what it says that rattles you. It's what it implies. Someone knows your dreams, not the standard nightmares, the gun jams, the staircases that melt into nothing. No, they're talking about the dream, the recurring one. You never told anyone. Not Daniels, not your therapist, Not even your last partner, who caught you sleep talking during surveillance and asked you, "Who's Evie?" You brushed it off. You always did. But this letter, the envelope says, "To Evie," in your handwriting. You didn't write it, but your hand twitches like it remembers. You dig out the journal again, flip to the old dream entries. You find one, near the back, the hallway again. The door is locked. Evie is on the other side. She says, "You're late." Then silence. Then scratching. There's a note in the margin. Not yours. She's not behind the door. You are. You run water over your face. The mirror is off the wall now. A hollow space exposed behind it. The drywall back there is uneven, slightly cut into, like someone carved a message into the bones of your apartment. You press your flashlight to it. There are tally marks. 12. Then the word "again." You trace the marks with your fingers. Each one feels fresh, like they were made last night. You didn't make them, but they're in your handwriting. You sit down. You breathe. You try to frame it all like a case again. A subject leaves a series of anonymous letters. They contain personal, unsourced data, clues too intimate to be researched, photos that show altered versions of the recipient, and each letter leads deeper into a timeline that doesn't hold. The subject isn't outside the case. The subject is the case. You look again at the handwriting. It's yours. It's hers. Whoever she is. You close your eyes. Try to recall the earliest version of the dream. Before Evie. Before Langston. Back when it was just a hallway and a door and the knocking. You hear it now. Knock 3 times. Your heart seizes. You open your eyes. It wasn't memory. It's your front door. You cross the room slowly. No footsteps in the hall. No shadow through the peephole. You open it. No one. Just another envelope. No stamp. No return. No tape. But this one's thicker. You bring it inside. Open it with the knife you keep by the window ledge. Inside 2 things. A letter and a photo. The photo shows your bedroom, taken from above, like a surveillance angle. But the lighting's wrong. It's lit by moonlight, not your overhead bulbs. You were asleep, face turned, arms splayed out, and in the bottom corner of the bed, another figure, lying beside you, back turned, face obscured, wearing a hospital gown. You check the metadata. No digital signature. You flip the photo over. In red ink, I told you we'd meet again. Next time, wake me up. The letter inside the envelope is longer. 2 pages, all handwritten. It opens like this. You used to check the back seat of your car. That was smart. But you stopped. You used to write everything down. That was safer. But you burned your old journals. I kept them for you. I kept you. Your vision blurs. You sit down hard. Keep reading. We shared the same skin once. Same thoughts. You wanted to disappear. I just made sure you did it thoroughly. Now you're waking up. And that's a problem. Because people are going to notice the gaps. The inconsistencies. You're not supposed to be here. Not like this. You were meant to sleep. The final sentence is scrawled across the bottom margin. You dreamed me. Now I'm dreaming you. You tear the envelope apart. No fingerprints. No clue of origin. Just one more thing. At the bottom, a paper scrap folded small. You unfold it. It's a child's drawing. Stick figures. One with long hair. One with a gun. And between them, you labeled me before I forgot. You feel like something is watching you from inside the walls. Not metaphorically, literally. You tap along the drywall, hollow, in places it shouldn't be. You lean in, ear to plaster, and faintly, too faintly to trust. You hear someone breathing. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The woman sits across from you in the interview room, eyes vacant, shoulders relaxed, as if she's waiting for coffee, not questions. She's the only other known recipient of the letter. Same paper, same scent, different message. Hers came last week. She found it tucked into her son's baby book, but she doesn't have a child. Never did. Not according to medical records, not according to her own memory. Still, she remembers the baby's name, Noah. She whispers, "But I never named anyone that." You ask her what the letter said. She blinks. Her lips twitch like she wants to speak, but can't. "It said I'd forget." She finally manages, "And then I did." You glance down at the copy of a letter in the file. The ink is different, darker, pressed harder into the paper, like someone wrote it in anger or urgency. 4 lines. You carried a truth no one wanted, so we took it. The hole where it lived will feel like yours. Don't try to remember. That's how it spreads. You try a different question. Have you ever seen this woman before? You slide the photo across the table, the one from the Langston case. Calm, watching. The woman stares at it. She shakes her head, then stops. Her hand twitches toward the image, fingers trembling. "That's me," she says, voice cracking. "That used to be me." Your pulse spikes. "What do you mean I don't remember being her? But I remember losing her." She pushes the photo away. "It's like I woke up in someone else's body." You ask, "When did it start?" "The day I received the letter. The one before this one." You check the record. There's no earlier letter in her file. But when you return to your office later, there's a new envelope on your desk. You lock the door behind you. This one's smaller, unmarked, no name. Inside is a torn page from a medical file. Psychiatric intake form, dated 2 years ago. Patient name, your own, under reason for visit. Someone has handwritten, identifying as more than one person. You flip the page. There's a photograph paper clipped to the corner. Security cam still. A hospital hallway. 2 people walking side by side. You in your detective coat, and her, the woman from the Langston case. Both of you looking ahead. Both of you carrying envelopes. Both labeled "To me." You call the hospital listed on the intake form. The number is disconnected. You try to trace the document through city systems. No match, no digital record. You scan the signature at the bottom. It's not legible, but it matches the signature on the Langston confession, the one you never filed. A.R. again. You search every database. Initials come up repeatedly. A.R. in old case files, witness statements, post-incident reports you never noticed before. Now it's all you see. A.R. in the margins of your notebook, carved faintly into the underside of your coffee table, burned into the back of an old photograph you once pinned to your wall before it went missing. You turn back to the photo of the woman in the interview room. She's smiling now, except she's not. The photo has changed. You're sure of it. In the original, she was frowning. You grab your backup file, scan the image. The expression is different. Everything is. It's you in the photo now. Same room, same angle, different face, yours. You pull the photo away. Look at your reflection in the window. You don't look like her. Not exactly. But your hair's falling the same way. Your eyes, just for a second, seem more distant than they should. You blink. Gone. You reopen the woman's letter, the one she received. There's something you missed. The last line, the handwriting shifts subtly. It looks more like yours than hers. You trace your finger across the bottom margin. There's indentation someone wrote beneath it. You hold the page to the light. One more message appears. She forgot what you couldn't. Now you're remembering what she shouldn't. Your phone vibrates. Unknown number. One new message. There are more of you than you think. You reply. Who are you? No answer. Just three dots for a moment. Then gone. You scroll back. The message is missing. Replaced by a blank screen. But in your notification bar, a photo preview of you sitting at your desk, taken from behind you, the timestamp. Right now. You spin in your chair. Empty room. No camera. But under your desk, a small device taped to the underside. A tracker with a blinking red light. You pull it loose. Hold it in your hand. It looks familiar. Your initials are scratched into the back, etched by your hand. The woman from the interview. She's gone. You check the room again. She was never there. No recording. No transcript. The chair is empty. And in her place, taped to the back wall, a child's drawing. Same one as before. Stick figure. Gun. Evie. But now, there's a fourth figure in the corner. A shadow. No eyes. Labeled me. When I watched myself forget, everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You knew, but pretended you didn't. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You wake in your car, engine cold, seat pushed back, fingers gripping the steering wheel like you've been bracing for impact. But you don't remember driving here. You don't even remember leaving your apartment. The sun's not up yet. There's frost on the windshield, but no condensation from your breath. You check your phone. Dead. You glance at the dashboard. A note rests on it, folded in half. White paper. Your name. Again. This time just detective. You unfold it. Typed. Single-spaced. You've arrived early. That's unusual. Check the trunk. But don't open it all the way. You'll remember why. Your chest tightens. You step out into the dawn mist. Concrete under your boots. You're parked behind an abandoned warehouse. One you vaguely remember from a narcotics sting 2 years back. But this doesn't feel like a crime scene. It feels like a setup. You reach the trunk. Your hand hovers over the latch. Don't open it all the way. You lift it slowly, just enough, and freeze. Inside, a single object rests in the center. A typewriter. Old, manual, no ribbon, keys rusted. But there's a sheet of paper fed through it. You lift it. One sentence typed in crisp, black ink. You're not reading this for the first time. You step back. Something flickers in your mind. A memory, or maybe a dream. This trunk, this typewriter, a motel room, a mirror, wrapped in a towel. You press your fingers to your temple, try to summon the rest. It slips, but the unease remains. You open the glove box, find a matchbook. No logo, no phone number, just a handwritten name on the inside flap, Evie. And below it, a room number 305. There's no address, just one word where the hotel name should be home. You return to the front seat, start the car. The radio turns on by itself. A voice crackles through not music, not static, just a woman whispering. You used to visit me every Thursday, but then you buried the letters. Do you want to know where your hand hovers over the dial? You try to change the station. It won't budge. You left them in the room with the red door. That's where the real story ended, or began, then silence. You pull away from the warehouse. The city looks different in this light, like it's been drained of color. You drive without thinking, like muscle memory is doing the navigating for you. 15 minutes later, you stop in front of a building you don't recognize. A small motel, crumbling sign, neon light barely flickering, room numbers faded, but door 305 is painted red. You hesitate, then step out. Every window is covered in blackout curtains. You walk the length of the second floor, room 305. The door is slightly ajar. You push it open. The air is stale, but familiar. Inside a desk, a mirror, a single chair, and another typewriter. The same one, no. This one is newer, but the page in it is the same as the one in the trunk. You pull it out. The sentence has changed. You wrote these before you remembered. Don't stop now. On the desk beside the typewriter sits a folder. No name, no markings. You open it. Inside photographs, 10 of them. Each one shows a version of you, different clothes, different years, different cities. In each, you're holding a letter, but in the final photo, you're not alone. Evie stands beside you, hand on your shoulder, face turned to the lens, and you're both smiling, like it was all a joke you were finally in on. You flip the photo. On the back, Evie always remembers for both of you. You look up. There's a mirror on the far wall. You walk toward it. Your reflection stares back unchanged. But behind your image, in the background, faint and grainy, Evie is standing, still, silent. Same smile, same dress she wore in Langston's hallway. You spin around. The room is empty, but the typewriter has shifted. Now it holds a new page. A question. When was the last time you believed yourself? You don't answer. You just sit, hands on the keys, and start typing. Not because you know what to say, but because your fingers do. The words spill out like they've been waiting. A confession you don't recognize, but feel, line after line, until the final sentence types itself. This is where you remember you were the one who wrote the first letter. You stare at the page, feel the weight of it. Then 3 knocks at the door. Slow, precise. You rise, but you don't open it. Not yet. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The knocking stops. You wait. The silence stretches long enough to feel like it's watching you. Then you hear the soft slip of paper under the door. You don't move at first. The letter lies there like a trap, like an echo you haven't caught up to yet. You walk toward it, slowly, carefully, as though proximity might detonate something hidden inside you. You bend down, fingers brushing the envelope. No name on it, no handwriting, just a single typed word, centered on the front, answer. You sit back down at the desk, lay the envelope beside the typewriter. You stare at both. Same paper, same weight, same scent like forgotten promises and burnt tape. You open the envelope. Inside, not a letter, a photograph. This time, it's not of you, it's of a room. Red walls, silver ashtray, ceiling fan still spinning. You recognize it instantly. It's the motel room you're in now, but different, furnished, lived in. Someone lies on the bed, not moving. The face is turned away, but you know who it is. You flip the photo. 3 typed words. Time repeats differently. You rise, check the room. It's identical to the photo, except the bed is empty. You lift the sheets, no indent, but when you move the pillow, there's a Polaroid underneath, still developing. You hold it up to the light. A shadow takes shape. Your back, sitting at this desk, typing. But the reflection in the mirror isn't yours. It's Evie, watching, smiling. You return to the desk. The typewriter has shifted again. A new line appears, though your fingers never touched it. Write the letter you were afraid to receive. The keys click on their own, like muscle memory hijacked by something deeper. You resist, but your hands settle anyway. You begin, "Dear me." If you're reading this, it means you've begun to forget what you once knew, that the truth isn't buried. It's rewritten. They didn't erase your memories. They taught you to distrust them. You signed off on it. You watched it happen. You stop, tear the paper from the machine, crumple it. But when you drop it to the floor, another sheet is already feeding through, already typed. Same style, same voice. Only this time, it ends with a signature. A.R. You back away from the desk. This isn't a case file anymore. It's an autopsy of identity. You turn toward the window. Outside, a figure stands beneath the flickering motel sign. Same silhouette, same coat. You, but not you. You blink and she's gone. Only the flickering neon remains. Your phone buzzes. It shouldn't. It was dead. You check the screen. No number. No signal. Just a notification. Photos synced. 1084 new images. You open them. Each one is a different version of you. Different cities. Different clothes. Different people beside you. Always her. And always the same envelope in your hand. Sometimes labeled Evie. Sometimes detective. Once witness 0. You try deleting the photos. They vanish. But as soon as you close the gallery, they reappear. This time, with captions beneath them. You thought you were the observer. You were the pattern. You were the start. You close the phone, power it off, toss it on the bed. You reach for the motel room's mirror, pry it from the wall. Behind it, another letter and a key. This one is different, polished, new. The envelope is sealed with red wax, stamped with a triangle and a line through it. You don't open it. Not yet, because on the back of the mirror, scrawled in thick black ink, is a message. If you open that letter, you'll remember everything. And beneath it, and forgetting is the only thing that kept you alive. You put the letter down, sit on the bed, and finally allow yourself to speak aloud. What if I'm not the first version of me? The motel doesn't answer, but something in the walls creaks. The typewriter dings. You walk back to the desk. A new message awaits. You've always asked the wrong question. You keep asking, who did this? Try asking, why did I let them? You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You don't sleep, not because of fear, though it lingers like static, but because something deeper inside you has shifted. There's an itch beneath the skin of your memory, something unfinished, something rewired. You sit at the edge of the bed, holding the sealed envelope like a loaded weapon. The wax seal stares up at you. Triangle, line, wax pressed deep. You run your thumb over it, half hoping it will dissolve under pressure. It doesn't. You reach for your lighter. The flame dances. For a second, you hesitate because what if the letter is the last tether? What if, once opened, there's no way back? But the other question is worse. What if you never had a way back at all? You burn the seal, peel it open. The letter inside is written in your hand, flawless, like you'd sat down, focused, determined to remember something no one else could. But the ink doesn't tell a story. It asks questions. Where were you between 12 and 3 a.m., the night Langston died? What name did you give at the hospital? Check-in. What do you remember about the mirror? Your breath catches. You skip to the final line. Don't trust the next version of yourself. You fold the letter slowly. There's a name handwritten at the bottom. Dr. Adrienne Ryle, A.R. Finally, not a code, not a ghost, A name. You dig into your phone, backtrack everything. Her name's not in any of the Langston reports, not in city records, but it shows up once buried in a psychiatric paper, cited under a pseudonym. You find it archived in a research database. Sympathetic identity dissolution, a case study in shared delusion. The abstract chills you. In rare instances, a patient subjected to intense psychological isolation may begin to experience invasive personality projection, taking on traits, habits, even memories of others, real or imagined. This condition can result in a fragmented memory loop wherein the patient assumes multiple identities over time, each believing itself to be the original. The case study's subject name redacted, but the footnotes reference a Langston Foundation grant. You sit back. It clicks. The Langston file wasn't a murder case. It was the cover. Langston wasn't a victim. Langston was a program, a place, a protocol. The motel room light flickers. Once. Then again. You glance up. The bulb above you dims, then pulses steadily, like a heartbeat. And on the wall beside the mirror, a new shadow forms. A silhouette. Your own. Only you're not standing. You turn quickly. The room is empty. But in your chair, another letter. This one has a return address. Ryle Institute, room 4. No envelope, just the folded page. You unfold it. There's a script, a literal one like a screenplay. Scene heading in T. Motel room, night, and the action line. You realize the case has been inverted. You were never investigating the killer. You were narrating your own descent. And then a line of dialogue, you quietly. How many versions of me are there? The script ends there. You check the back. A single line, handwritten in blue ink. Rehearsals are over. Time to meet the others. You step outside the room. The night air hits you like a slap, too real, too cold. Across the parking lot, 3 figures stand near the edge of the shadows, all watching, all still. You squint. One wears your old coat. One holds a folder marked Evie. One lights a cigarette the way you used to, 2 fingers curled tightly, thumb twitching. They don't speak. They just wait. You return inside, lock the door, check the mirror again. The words are back, etched faintly in the glass. The killer left no evidence, just a letter addressed to you. You press your hand to the mirror, and for a moment, the reflection flickers, not just once, 3 times. Each flicker shows a different version of you. Eyes sharper, smile colder, clothes slightly off, but each one is holding the same thing. A letter. You close your eyes. Ask yourself the question you've been avoiding. What if you weren't meant to solve the case? What if you were meant to continue it? You open your journal. Write 1 line A. R. Wasn't the author. She was the architect. Then you tear the page out. Slip it into a new envelope. On the front, you write, "To me, you leave it on the bed," and walk to the door. Not to escape, to meet the others. Because the truth isn't in the letters anymore. It's in what they made you become. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The others don't speak when you approach. They simply tilt their heads, synchronized, curious, like birds sensing a storm that hasn't broken yet. You count them again. 3, all familiar, but wrong, like echoes misremembered by someone else's dream. You stop a few feet away. Your breath clouds in the air. Though it's not that cold, the one in your old coat steps forward. Same posture, same limp in the left foot. You realize it isn't just someone wearing your clothes. It's you, not metaphorically, not symbolically. You, down to the scar on your chin from a case 5 years ago, the chipped canine tooth, the exact furrow in the brow when you're holding something back. They speak first. You're the one who remembered too much. You blink, they smile. A smile you now realize looks very different from the outside. The second you steps forward, holding the folder marked Evie. They hand it to you without a word. It's heavier than it looks. Inside are photographs, documents, even newspaper clippings, but none of it is printed. All handwritten, all by the same person, you. Each page signed in identical handwriting, same pressure, same ink, same date, today. You flip through. Each document is an event you've never lived but recognize. A fire in a hospital wing, a missing patient from Royal Institute, a surveillance tape labeled Subject 0.0, breakpoint initiated, all tied to a name written repeatedly, Evie Langston. You freeze at one page. It's a psychological intake report. Royal Institute, Room 4, patient Evie Langston, condition projected identity, regression, symptoms, transference of guilt through mirrored identities, memory loops involving false cases, spontaneous authorship of unsourced confessions, recurrence of self-generated antagonists, notes in margin, thinks she's the detective again, still writing letters to herself, might be nearing full reversion. Do not let her wake the others. The third you steps forward. They light a cigarette, inhale like it's the only real thing left, then flick it onto the concrete. We're not here to hurt you. We're here to remind you. You ask the question anyway. Your voice doesn't sound like yours anymore. Remind me of what? The one with the coat points to your chest, that you were the letter. You open your mouth, but no sound comes, because now you remember. Not all of it, but enough. You weren't sent the first letter. You wrote it, left it, for a version of you that had forgotten what they'd agreed to. The program wasn't about tracking a killer. It was about testing the elasticity of identity, how far you could push a person's sense of self before they became someone else entirely, how many times you could fracture and loop and rebuild. You weren't the detective. You were the controlled subject. The rest of them, previous versions, reintegrated memories wearing borrowed skin, all waiting for you to catch up. You fall to your knees. The weight of it isn't just psychological, it's physical. Like your bones are remembering something your mind couldn't hold. You look down at your hands. One finger is smudged with black ink. You didn't touch anything black today, but you remember typing. A lot, too much. The others begin to fade. Not walk away fade, like they've served their purpose. The smoke from the cigarette drifts through them. Then they're gone. All that remains is the folder in your lap and a small metal key tucked inside. No tag, no lock to match it. Just a sticky note. Final debrief. Room 4. And below that, bring the mirror. You drive through the dead parts of the city, the areas that never got rebuilt. No traffic, no cameras, no questions. The Royal Institute is a brick structure sunken behind a rusting gate. You've seen it before in dreams, and now, in waking memory, a sign hangs on the fence. No entry, closed, since 1999, but the lights inside are on. You use the key. The lock clicks with a quiet sort of inevitability. You enter. Room 4 is at the end of the hall. You know this before you see the number. The walls are lined with photographs, all of you. Some posed, some surveillance, some intimate in one. You're asleep with your hand over your chest clutching a letter. In another, you're walking out of a morgue. Third frame, you, standing in front of a cracked mirror. Eyes closed, reflection staring back. You keep walking. Room 4. The door is slightly open. Inside, there's only one thing, a mirror mounted to the wall. You step in slowly, stand in front of it. The frame is brass, old, ornate, clinical. You stare into your own eyes. You ask who wrote the last letter. Your reflection smiles and says, "You did." But this time, I'll be the one to open it. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You knew, but pretended you didn't. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You press your hand against the glass. It's warm, too warm. The mirror doesn't feel like a reflection anymore. It feels like a doorway that's waiting. Your own face stares back with a calm that feels impossible, like whoever's behind the glass knows more than you, but isn't in a rush to tell you. You whisper to it, "If I was the one who started this." The mirror finishes. Then you're the only one who can stop it. You step back, because that voice didn't come from inside your head. It came from behind the mirror. You scan the room. It's empty. No cameras, no wires, just 4 bare walls and the mirror. But when you look again closer, something's changed. Behind your reflection, a corridor appears, dim, sterile, endless. Fluorescent lights flicker overhead. You turn around. The wall behind you is still solid, but in the mirror, you see yourself stepping forward, stepping through. You don't remember moving, but the figure keeps walking, deeper into the mirrored corridor, until they vanish into the dark. Then the mirror goes black. You turn to leave, but the door's gone, replaced by more wall. You're not in room 4 anymore. You're in the mirrored version of it, and you're alone. Except you're not. There's a desk in the corner now. You don't remember it being there before. On the desk, a cassette player, analog, scarred, and a tape labeled Evie, Session 11. You press play. A woman's voice crackles through, measured, calm, Evie. I remember waking up in a room that looked like mine, but wasn't. There were letters everywhere, each one in my handwriting, but I don't remember writing any of them. They said I had agreed to something, that I had wanted to forget, that forgetting was the only way to keep the others safe. But I'm starting to think there were no others, just earlier versions of me, and someone has been watching the whole time. She said her name was Adrian Ryle. She said I could call her AR. The voice clicks off. Another tape slides out of the player on its own. You catch it before it hits the ground. This one, Detective Session 2. You never recorded this, but the voice on the tape is yours. I keep dreaming about the letters. They're all blank, but I know what they say. I can feel it, like a message buried in my blood. And she's there in every dream, Evie, watching. She always says the same thing. If you're reading this, it's already too late, but I still read it anyway. The tape cuts out. You sit on the edge of the bed that now appears behind you, hospital grade. Metal rails, bleach scrubbed linens. You think of the others. How many versions are there? How many reflections you reach into your coat? There's a new envelope in the pocket. You didn't put it there. You open it slowly. Inside a mirror shard and one line of text written in blood red ink. Break the mirror. Wake the room. You stand. Face the mirror. It's whole again. Your reflection returned. Staring. Uncertain. You raise the shard. It shakes in your hand. Because if you do this, if you break the mirror, what if it doesn't let you out? What if it lets the rest of them in? But hesitation has never saved you. Only clarity, only action. You hurl the shard. Glass explodes inward. Shards scatter across the floor like frozen screams. Behind the broken glass, a corridor, real, lit, and filled with doors, all numbered, all identical, except one, room 0. The door is red. You step inside. The room is not like the others. This one is filled with monitors, each showing a different version of you, sleeping, waking, writing, killing. One screen shows you in Langston's hallway. Another shows you watching the typewriter. A third shows you standing over someone's body. No weapon, no emotion, just clarity. And in the center of the room on a pedestal sits a file, your name on the front, underneath subject witness 0. You open it. Inside a birth certificate, Evie Langston, a police academy certificate. Your name, a blank psychological evaluation with only one line filled in. Subject believes they are the observer. And the last page, Evie Langston fractured after session 1. Project required identity stabilization. Witness 0 created to absorb narrative threads. All letters sent. Memory loops effective. Final phase engaged. And a final directive. In bold merge or erase. You look at the screens. You don't know which version is real anymore. And maybe that's the point. Because it was never about solving the case. It was about becoming it. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You stare at the file in your hands. The words don't make sense until they do. Merge or erase. A decision. A sentence. A sentence meant for you. You glance back at the broken mirror behind you. The glass still trembles in its frame, like it knows something violent just happened and more is coming. The monitors surrounding you flicker again. They all show you, in different stages of denial. One crying, one silent, one laughing. Only one screen is dark. You walk toward it. As you approach, it turns on. It shows this room. Right now, you looking at the monitor, and just behind you, in the screen, someone else enters the frame. A figure, standing behind you. You spin. No one. The room is empty, but your skin prickles, like you've been touched by something that didn't need hands. The air shifts, and you realize there's another envelope on the pedestal beside the file. You didn't see it before. Or maybe it wasn't there before. It's black, sealed, your full name etched in gold ink. You open it. Inside a contract. No legal language. No fluff. Just one sentence. By opening this letter, you acknowledge that you are no longer a participant, but the record, and beneath it, a signature line. Signed, Evie Langston. Your hands tremble. You look at your own signature on past documents, case files, journal entries, even a restraining order once filed on your behalf. They match exactly. The truth is unbearable in its simplicity. You weren't investigating Evie. You are Evie, or what's left of her. Fractured, rewired, rewritten through a loop of identity correction that no one ever came back from. Witness 0 wasn't a code name. It was a containment strategy. You fall into the chair at the center of the room. Everything fades into a hush. The monitors stop flickering, and then one final tape ejects from a machine behind you. Unmarked. You insert it. A familiar voice. Dr. Adrian Ryle. You've reached the final phase. If you're hearing this, the subject has reached merger point. It is now up to her to decide which identity persists. Detective or witness, author or character, truth or continuity. Let her choose. A second chair appears opposite yours. You blink. One of the screens turns black. A silhouette forms in the reflection. Yourself wearing the same clothes, same face, only this version looks at peace. They sit down. You look at each other for a long time. Neither speaks. But the message is clear. There's room for only one of you now. You reach into your coat pocket. Another letter waits there, folded once, clean. You didn't put it there, but you know what it is. You open it. This time, it's blank, completely, until you press your finger to the paper. Ink blooms. Your handwriting appears. There is no killer, only the memory of one. You created the story because the truth was too heavy to carry. You carried it anyway. The chair across from you is now empty. No sound, no trace. You're alone again. The pedestal begins to lower into the floor, taking the file, the contract, the letters, all of it, erased. But one thing remains: the black envelope. You pocket it, because some endings are supposed to be carried forward, even if you never open them again. Especially then, you leave the room. The hallway stretches ahead. No mirrors, no monitors, just light, somehow warm. You reach the front doors, push them open, and outside the city, awake, alive. Your phone buzzes in your pocket, full charge. One notification, a photo of you standing in front of the Royal Institute, taken just now, captioned, "We're proud of you, but remember, truth is a choice." You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth, it was about control. The photo disappears from your phone. No trace in the gallery, no saved copy. You check your call log, your texts, your apps. Everything is clean, too clean, like you've just been rebooted. You stand there on the institute steps, staring out at the street. Cars pass, a dog barks in the distance. Someone laughs, sharp, sudden, then gone. It's morning, but you feel like you've only just arrived, or like you were dropped here from a story mid-sentence. You reach into your pocket again. The black envelope is still there, a weight, like a truth sealed too long. You walk, not toward anything specific, just away. The city is different now, not physically, but subtly. Storefronts you swear were boarded up are now open. People you don't recognize nod like they know you. You stop at a crosswalk. An ad blinks on a bus shelter beside you. It's a book cover, your name on the spine. The killer left no evidence. A memoir by your name. You blink, step back. The image shifts. Now it's a blank screen. Only 2 words remain. You chose. You push forward, heart pounding, duck into an alley for cover. You need to think, to breathe, but the walls are already waiting for you. Someone's spray painted a message across the bricks. Red paint, big letters, fresh. Everything you remember is fiction, but you wrote it anyway. A man passes at the alley's edge. He stops, turns, smiles. He's wearing your coat again, but this time he's holding something new. A letter opener, silver, sharp, and hanging from his neck, a name badge. Real Institute, subject, .1 Langston, E. You shout, but he's gone before your voice can reach the air. You run out to the street. No one's there, only a single sheet of paper fluttering on the ground. You pick it up, typed, clean. You can't erase something that never happened, but you can overwrite it. That's what Witness Zero is for. You drop the page. You know where you have to go now. The library. The one place the old you always went when the world became too loud. Not for answers, but for context. You enter. It's still quiet, still dusty, still yours. You move to the back through the rows of shelves until you reach the archives. They've never needed a key. Just trust. You open the filing cabinet. Inside a single drawer, your initials burned into the wood. Inside that journals, dozens, each one dated, each one in your handwriting. You open one. The first line reads, "Today I became the author and the suspect." A chill moves down your spine because now you understand. The letters weren't threats. They were memory anchors, breadcrumbs, ways to track yourself through the maze of your own mind. Each time you got too close, you sent a version of yourself a letter, and each time you buried it until the story cracked open again. At the bottom of the drawer is a photo, the original. You and Evie, side by side. But there's no photographer, no date, just a mirror in the background, and in the mirror, someone watching. You, but not you. A version with a scar you don't have, holding a letter you haven't read yet. You flip the photo. She was never the killer. She was the witness. You leave the library, back into the street, into the noise, the people, the rhythm. Everything around you looks normal, but you are not. You've been rewritten, or maybe restored. It's hard to tell the difference now, but you keep walking, because even if this isn't the first time, it might be the last. And for the first time in too long, you want to see how the story ends. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You walk until your legs ache and your breath comes cold and shallow. The city never stops moving, but you begin to notice the patterns again. A man with the same briefcase crossing every other street. A coffee shop that blinks out of existence when you look away. Street signs that spell your name backward, just for a second, then flicker back. You're not dreaming, you're decoding. You step into a corner diner. It's late morning now, or maybe late memory. A bell rings over the door. The waitress looks up, but doesn't greet you. She gestures silently to the booth in the back. You slide in, and sitting across from you, already waiting, is yourself. A slightly older version, eyes more tired, voice steadier. They sip black coffee and nod, like they've been here before. You speak first. Which one are you? They smile. The one who stopped running. You glance outside the window. Rain taps lightly against the glass. Reflections shimmer. You ask, why me? They don't flinch, because you were the first to ask the right question. You remember the contract. Merge or erase. They nod. Exactly. We're at the junction now. Witness zero or detective. You lean in. What happens if I merge? They smile again, tired this time. You remember everything, even the parts you buried, even the part where you were the one who started it all. They slide a napkin across the table. On it, a single phrase, written in your handwriting. There never was a killer. There was only a truth too dangerous to leave intact. You touch the ink. It's fresh. You whisper, so who wrote the letters? They hold your gaze. We all did. Every version, every loop. We kept ourselves alive through the narrative. Evie was the story. You were the rewrite. And the rewrite became the original. The waitress approaches. She places a single item on the table. Not a menu, not a bill, a mirror, cracked down the center. But this time, you don't look away. You stare, and in the reflection, you don't see the diner. You see a hospital room, a padded wall, a woman, Evie, sitting in a chair, writing furiously. The camera pans in. Her mouth moves, soundless, but you know what she's saying. This is not my memory. It's yours. Your other self is gone now, the booth empty, only the mirror remains. You turn it over. On the back, scratched into the woodroom, 0 is inside you now. You leave the diner without paying. No one stops you. The street looks sharper now, like something was peeled away from it. You pass a group of school children crossing with a teacher. One of them stares at you too long, and then points. That's the person from the letter. You freeze, but the teacher hushes the child. They keep walking. You feel the black envelope burning in your pocket, still sealed. You pull it out. It's thinner now, lighter. You rip it open. Inside a single sheet. It reads, "You did well. You've almost finished writing the ending, but there's one version left you haven't met. She's waiting, and she knows what you forgot." You walk faster. Memories come like storms now. Visions of white halls, interrogations with yourself, doctors who whispered behind one-way mirrors, a clock that never ticked, but always moved, a red door. You reach it now, on a street that shouldn't exist, no address, just the door. Red, familiar, final, a black beside it. E.V. Langston, final session, open file. You knock once, twice, the third time. The door opens on its own. Inside silence, a chair, a mirror, a folder on the floor. You step inside and close the door. You don't need to read the file. You already know what's inside. Instead, you walk to the mirror. This time, you're not afraid. Your reflection isn't you. It's Evie. She smiles and mouths the words, "I'm ready." You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The mirror doesn't reflect the room anymore. It reflects a memory. Evie stands in the corridor of the Royal Institute, her hands trembling, clutching a letter addressed in her own name. The walls breathe. The floor pulses like something alive beneath the tiles. And though her mouth moves, the only thing you can hear is your own breath sinking with hers. You're not looking at her anymore. You're looking through her, because this isn't Evie's memory. It's yours. You blink. You're in the red room again. Same chair, same folder. But now, a second chair has appeared, and it's already occupied. Not Evie, not you, someone else. She looks older, weathered, but composed. She wears a Royal Institute badge. Dr. Adrian Ryle. You know her name like it's been whispering from the shadows since the beginning. She speaks softly. We tried to compartmentalize the trauma, to isolate it. But your mind found the story anyway. You ask, why create the letters? Why make it a murder? She folds her hands, because guilt is easier to understand than loss, and you needed a framework that would let you survive remembering. She gestures to the folder. Read the first page. You do. It's your handwriting again. A confession, no. A eulogy. They said Evie Langston died at 2:17 following the collapse of Project Witness. But that's not true. She didn't die. She dissolved into fragments, into stories, into pieces of herself that couldn't survive the whole truth. And one of those pieces became me. You close the folder. She watches you with something close to sympathy. You were never supposed to last this long. Most loops dissolve by section 8. You nod slowly. But I kept asking, kept writing. She smiles faintly. That's why you're here now. Ready. The room dims. Not like a power outage, more like dusk folding over memory. You look at the mirror again. Your reflection is whole. One face, no fractures, no flickers. You ask, am I Evie? She answers, you're what's left of her after the grief. You're the part that refused to forget. You feel something shifting. Inside, like two puzzle pieces realigning after years of misfit edges, the images in your head stabilize. The fire wasn't an accident. The letters weren't sent by someone else. The case was never real. It was the coping mechanism of a girl who watched everything burn, then agreed to let herself be split apart, to forget, to rebuild herself as someone who could bear it. A detective, a witness, a writer, a reader. Dr. Ryle stands. The loop is over. There are no more sessions. You whisper. Then what happens to me? She opens the door. On the other side the city. Real this time. Not warped, not silent. Just waiting. She doesn't answer your question. She just says, "You'll decide." You step through. The sky is pale with morning, and it feels like the first real day you've ever lived. Not because everything makes sense, but because the illusion is gone. You walk until your legs remember how to trust the ground. The black envelope is gone from your pocket. So is the folder. But something remains. A key. Small. Brass. Cold. No tag. No instructions. But you know where it belongs. You return to your apartment. Same creaky stairs. Same leaky faucet. But the door you could never open, the closet you always ignored, now has a lock. The key slides in like it's been waiting. Inside, a single object, a typewriter. Yours, the real one, the one that started this all. A fresh page is already rolled in. You sit down, you type, "Dear Evie, if you're reading this, it means you finally come home. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control." Your fingers rest lightly on the typewriter keys. They twitch, not from hesitation, but from memory. Muscle memory born from hundreds of forgotten letters, looped confessions, and rewritten truths. You don't remember writing them, but your body does. Your hands know where the guilt goes. Your fingertips have memorized the weight of denial. You stare at the blank page, and then you write, "This time, the ending is mine." You pause, look around the apartment. It's filled with objects you barely recognize. A snow globe from a city you don't remember visiting. A cracked coffee mug labeled Langston Police Debt. A half-burned candle with the word "Witness" etched into the wax. Artifacts of a self you tried to forget. You gather them, line them up on the windowsill, each one a breadcrumb from a different version of you. Then you return to the typewriter. They say stories are how we survive, but sometimes we create stories because the truth is too dangerous to survive. You weren't killed, Evie. You were hidden. The next line comes slower because it hurts to remember. The fire was an attempt to reset you, to scorch the memory loop, to collapse the identity fragmentation. But you lived, broken, split, but alive. You stopped typing, not from fatigue, from clarity. You finally remember what you saw in the mirror the night of the fire. You weren't looking at a killer. You were looking at yourself. Not the you now, not even the fractured witness, but the girl who made a choice no child should have to make, to forward what she saw in that room, to become someone else, to survive. The knock comes at the door. You expect it. You even know the rhythm. 3 short, 1 long. You open it. The man in the coat is there, still carrying the silver letter opener. But he doesn't look threatening now. He looks tired, like someone who's been waiting for you to catch up. He hands you a package, wrapped in butcher paper. No label. You nod once. He leaves. No words, just presence. You unwrap it slowly. Inside a stack of photographs, Each one dated, each one of you. You in the hospital, you outside the Ryle Institute, you asleep in the red room. But the last photo is different. It's not you. It's a young girl. Soot on her face, blanket wrapped around her shoulders. She's staring directly into the camera. Her eyes are terrified, but her mouth smiling. On the back of the photo, one sentence. This is where you stop being her. You stare at it until your vision blurs. Then you take the picture and pin it to your corkboard, right above your desk, right above the typewriter, and you whisper, "This is where I start being me." You sit down again. You know what you have to write now. Not a confession, not a letter, a record for the next version of you. If one ever needs to be made again, you begin typing. Her name was Evie Langston, and this time she remembered everything. The fire, the lies, the stories she wrote to survive, the people she became, the one who watched, the one who forgot, and the one who finally came home. You finish the page. You don't sign it, because Evie doesn't need a name anymore. She needs a choice. You tear out the page, fold it, slip it into a fresh envelope. On the front, you write, "In case I forget again," and place it beside the typewriter. You lock the closet door, slide the key back into your pocket. You know where it leads now. You just don't need it today. Today, you remember. And memory is its own kind of freedom. You open the window, let the cold air in, and for the first time, the city feels like it's listening, not watching, just listening. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The wind brushes the envelope gently, but it doesn't move. It's like even the breeze respects the weight of memory now. You lean against the windowsill, watching people drift past below. Ordinary, unsplit lives. They don't know what it's like to fracture across time, to suspect yourself in every room, to read letters written by the part of you you've never met. But you do. And today, that feels less like madness and more like power. You close the window softly. Let the silence settle. There's a knocking, faint, not at your door this time, but from the inside, from the closet. 3 taps. Not urgent, almost polite. You freeze. You lock that door. You know you did. You approach slowly, the keys still in your pocket, but something rattles behind the wood. Something gentle, like fingers brushing the other side. You kneel. Put your ear against it. Then, a voice. Your voice. Familiar, but younger. Scared. "Please let me out." I remember now. You stagger back, because that version young, broken, panicked, was sealed away long ago. That was the deal. Keep the pain locked. Let the rest survive. But now, she's awake. She's asking for air. And suddenly, the walls of your apartment don't feel solid anymore. They feel thin, scripted, as if everything you built has been a set beautiful, believable, and doomed to reset. You look at the envelope again, still on the table, still unopened, except the flap is curled now. It's been tampered with, or maybe you opened it and forgot. You pull it close, reach in. This time, there's a second note, short, written in tight cursive. Merge or erase was never the question. It was just the lure. The real question is, do you trust the version still locked inside? You stare at the closet. Your hand drifts to the key. Another knock. No urgency, just presence. This isn't a jump scare. It's an invitation. And beneath it, a threat. Because if she stays locked too long, She might not be the same when she comes out. You turn the key. The lock clicks like a stopwatch hitting zero. The door swings open, but there's no one inside. Just the mirror, not the one from the red room. This one smaller, framed in wood, and resting in a chair as if it's sitting for an interview. You pick it up, and what you see stuns you. Not because it's unfamiliar, but because it's perfect. It's you, composed, unfractured, whole, until the smile twitches, just once, and the mirror image tilts its head. Then it mouths the words, "You made me real. Now what will you do with me?" You drop the mirror, but it doesn't break. It clatters across the floor and lands upright, still reflecting. Now, your reflection is writing on a typewriter, only you're not. You're standing, frozen, staring, and yet, on the page in the mirror, words appear. You kneel down, peering closer. The page reads, "If you're reading this, then the others didn't survive. You're the last author. Finish the story, or become the setting." Your phone buzzes again. Another photo. This time your apartment, shot from outside your window. You're in the photo, standing, looking down, but the person taking the picture is invisible. No shadow, no reflection, only a second note in the message. Don't forget her, or you become her. The letter opener appears again. Same silver, same weight. This time, lying on your desk. No one delivered it, but it's yours now. You lift it, turn it in your hand. It catches light and memory. This was the object used to open the first letter, the one that started it all. You thought it was a clue. Maybe it's a key, or maybe it's a test. You carry the opener to the mirror. You kneel before it. Whisper, "Are you her?" The reflection just watches, then nods once, and so are you. You press the blade gently to the surface. The mirror hums beneath it. You feel it not in your hands, but in your teeth, like metal vibrating inside your bones. You don't have to break it. You just have to accept it. You lean closer, and this time, you don't see a reflection. You see a door, red, half open, light spilling through, and someone inside, typing. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You step through the mirror. There's no shatter, no jolt, just a quiet folding of space, like slipping between two pages that were never meant to touch. Inside the red door stands wide. Beyond it, a room lined with typewriters, rows and rows of them, each tapping softly, unmanned, unconnected, yet alive, each one writing its own story, each one telling a version of you. Some type faster than others, some stutter, like they're choking on the plot, and at the center of the room is the only typewriter that isn't moving. It's yours. You walk toward it. On the paper, insert final memory to proceed. You reach into your coat pocket. Instinctively, no key this time, no letter, only the photograph of the girl with soot on her cheeks, the one who smiled through the trauma. She's been with you the entire story. You press the photo against the paper. It adheres on its own. The typewriter responds. It begins to type, not with metal keys, but with ink bleeding directly onto the page, as if the words were veins bursting open. You saw it all. You weren't meant to survive it, but you did. And because you did, someone had to take the blame. Someone had to become the monster in the letter. The typewriter pauses. The room exhales, and then it types again. You invented the killer because it was safer than remembering your own reflection. But the killer never existed. The only weapon was the story, and you used it to survive. You kneel now, hands trembling over the keys. The typewriter lets you take over. You write, I am Evie Langston. I am Witness Zero. I am the author of the truth, and I am the unreliable narrator. The words pulse on the page like a heartbeat. The room begins to change. The typewriters fade, one by one, until only yours remains. You look up, and across from you sits the girl from the photo, alive, real, watching you. Her eyes are too wide for someone her age, but they don't flinch. You ask, what do you want? She says, to be remembered, not as a victim, as the one who kept going. You nod, because she's not a ghost. She's not a hallucination. She's the last piece, the one you protected by becoming someone else. She stands, walks to your side, and slips something into your hand. A pen, your pen. The one you threw away the night the fire erased your life. The one that used to sign letters before they became lies. You take it. Begin writing on the final page of the manuscript. This one isn't for loops. It's not for memory correction. It's not even for justice. It's just for truth. You write, Dear reader, this was never about the killer. It was about what we kill in ourselves to keep going. I was broken into pieces, and each piece wrote a different ending. But only one of them is mine, and this is it. You finish the sentence. The page curls slightly, as if the paper is sighing. You rise, look at the girl. She smiles, and then she fades. Not like she was a ghost, but like she was a role that's no longer needed. You're alone again. But this time, it doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like authorship, like stepping off the stage and into the crowd, where no one knows your name, but everyone knows your story. You carry the final page to the mirror, press it against the glass. It merges, ink fuses with silver. The reflection changes. This time it shows a door, your apartment, as it really is, messy, lived in, unremarkable, home. You step through, back into your body, back into the world. It's quiet, and in your hand is only the pen. No letters, no loops, just ink and a choice. You sit at your desk one final time, slide a new page into your real-world typewriter. It's blank, perfect, waiting. You pause, then type one word, begin. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The word stares back at you from the page. Begin. A simple command. A quiet rebellion. You sit with it. Let it breathe. No plot. No outline. No letter marked for your undoing. Just possibility. You think about all the lives you've worn like disguises. Evie the girl. Evie the witness. The detective. The liar. The ghost. The storyteller. All of them were real. None of them were whole. But this moment, this feels like the closest you've ever been to being a single, unified version of yourself. You exhale, and that feels like something. The city outside your window hums with disinterest. It doesn't care who you are now. It never did. But the mirror hanging crooked near your door seems to lean a little straighter, as if it's watching with quiet approval. You remember what the last version of you warned finished the story, or become the setting. You're not ready to disappear yet, so you keep writing. You begin again. A new page. No title, no lies, only what you know. The killer left no evidence, because there was no killer. There was only me, searching for a villain to blame for the pain I wasn't ready to claim. But monsters aren't always strangers. Sometimes they're survival strategies. You pause. Outside, a siren wails in the distance, long and slow and tired. It doesn't feel threatening, just familiar. A reminder. Your phone buzzes. You glance at it. No new photo. No unknown number. Just a scheduled notification therapy at 3:30. It's in your handwriting. Not the broken version. Not the looped signature of a fragmented girl trying to erase herself. Yours. Present. Focused. Intentional. You swipe it away. You'll go, not because you have to, but because you want to. You glance at the wall. That corkboard is still full of memories, evidence of a case that never was. But you're not ready to take it down. Not yet. It's not about forgetting. It's about witnessing all of it. The pain, the lies, the mistakes, the survival. A knock comes at the door. You freeze. Old instincts surge up, but you don't reach for a weapon. You just wait. Another knock. Calmer this time. You open it. A young woman stands there. She's unfamiliar, but her eyes tell a different story. She's holding a letter. No return address. This came for you. The mailman said it had no stamp, no postmark. She hands it to you and leaves without waiting for a thank you. You close the door, turn the envelope in your hands. It's cream-colored, no name on the front, no seal, but inside, one photo, a mirror, cracked, and in the reflection your apartment, as it looked before. Ash on the walls, a typewriter melted into the floorboards, and standing in the doorway, a shadow, your shape, but with no face, only a page for a head, typed in the center. You are not done. You hold the photo tightly, but you don't panic. Not this time. You pin it to the corkboard, next to the girl with the soot, next to the letters you haven't burned, not because they hold truth, but because they hold memory. And memory deserves its place, even when it lies, especially then. You sit down again, slide a new page into the typewriter, and this time, you don't write about the killer. You write about the girl, about the rain, about the feeling of being split in half and told to choose which side to kill. You write until the ribbon runs dry, and then you keep writing. The paper stays blank, but your mind doesn't. You remember everything, and still you write, because the story doesn't own you anymore. You own it. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The ribbon gives out with a soft snap, a sound so small it could be mistaken for the room exhaling. You stare at the blank page now, threaded through the typewriter. No words appear, but that doesn't scare you. The silence between keystrokes is no longer a threat. It's space, breathing room. You sit with it, hands still, letting the moment anchor you. The room is full of ghosts, but they are quiet now. Observed, understood, you rise from the desk. Stretch the ache from your shoulders. It's early evening now. Pale sunlight washes your apartment in sepia tones, warm and temporary, like memory. You walk to the mirror by the door. This time, your reflection is just that. No shadow behind the glass, no message scratched into the silver. Just your face, tired, but calm, alive. You gather the pages, every one you've written during this final loop. The beginning, the reveals, the versions of yourself you visited and mourned and reabsorbed. You place them gently into a plain folder. Label it the letter, because that's all it ever was. One long letter from you to you. A loop closed. Not because the mystery was solved, but because you stopped running from the answer. You light a single candle on the windowsill, the same one labeled witness. Its flame flutters, then steadies, like it knows. You don't burn the pages. You could, but now, destruction feels unnecessary. You've outlived the danger of remembering. What you write next will be something else entirely, not survival, creation. There's another knock, not at your door this time, at your mind. A memory you hadn't asked for, hadn't summoned. But it steps forward anyway. Evie, at 8 years old, hiding beneath the Institute's observation table, clutching a crayon, writing her name on the underside of the metal desk so they'll remember me. She whispers, and you do. You always have. You just couldn't admit it. Until now. You whisper back, I remember you, and I'm not afraid of you anymore. The memory fades, not erased, integrated. You return to the typewriter, slide in one final page, and type a message, not to yourself, but to whoever might read this someday. This was never about solving a crime. It was about surviving one and choosing to live afterward. You leave the page there. Don't sign it. Don't lock the door behind you. You step outside. The city greets you like a stranger you've passed 1,000 times. You know its tricks now, its patterns, its false starts. But that doesn't make it less beautiful. It just makes you honest. You walk, not toward another loop, but toward something messier, unstructured, real. You think about what Adrian said, how most versions don't last past section 8. But you did. You reached the end. And now, you get to ask the question, no version, before you ever could. What happens when the story ends, and I'm still here? You don't answer. You just keep walking. And for the first time, you're not writing the next part. You're living it. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The word count 188. Word. Final. Wind down 300. Words. The streets are quieter now. Not silent, just slowed. Like the city itself is exhaling after holding its breath for 20 chapters. Rain begins to fall, soft and rhythmic, drawing tiny constellations across the windows and asphalt. The sound wraps around you like a blanket, not to smother, but to remind you you're still here, still whole, somewhere. A train passes, a door creaks open, a bell rings in a shop that may or may not exist. Life continues, but you pause. You're not the same listener who started this journey. You've peeled back a dozen versions of yourself, waded through letters never mailed, crimes never committed, truths half remembered, and you've come out the other side, different, stronger, less afraid of mirrors, not because they tell the truth, but because now you're willing to ask what they've left out. You know you'll never look at letters, reflections, or memories the same way again. And that's the point. Some stories don't close with a confession. They close with a choice. And tonight, your choice was to listen, to stay, to remember, maybe even to forgive. So now, as the rain softens and the shadows stretch long, know this, you're not alone in the dark. You never were. And if the next letter comes addressed to you, you'll know how to read it. Not as a warning, but as a beginning. End of script. Sleep well and watch your back.